Ojo Aba Meta Meta, third Saturday in October, 29th in Seawall, Galveston, Texas. Galveston, formerly known as Turtle Island, was a marketplace block for selling human cargo during the transatlantic slave trade. That cargo was many of our ancestors who never chose to be enslaved. We must not let this truth of history be revised, and there were others of our ancestors who were already here, drying their eyes from trails of tears. Fourth Saturday in autumn equinox, Libra season, third decan, harvest season. The season where Onile, or the spirit of Mother Earth, thins the veil between Orun, heaven, and earth. Aye. The collective voice of our ancestors amplify their presence, hence All Hallows Eve, Halloween, Dia de los Muertos, and Sankofa, the caravan to the ancestors. These celebrations all fall like leaves off a tree during this season. Sankofa. It means to go back. It means to go back to give thanks and praises to the Creator, regardless of the name in which we call him or her. To remember our ancestors, the ones we know not by name, and their ultimate sacrifice. We go back to remember our recent ancestors and the wisdom their lives left behind. We go back to reflect on where we've been, to be clearer on where we are headed. And this is my personal diary of the last decade of experiences while attending the Sankofa Caravan to the Ancestors, hosted by the Houston chapter of the National Black United Front, and how these experiences changed my life. I'm my Aunt J. Muse, and you are watching and listening to Sankofa Mewa, the Diary of 10 Caravans. Ashe. Sankofa 2020, the Worldwide Masquerade. Pataki, Oni mi ojo aba meta, Owara metidi logun, Odunek ba wa ogun. Meridi Logun Awanojo Igba Oru. Today is Saturday, October 17th, 2020, 16 days into autumn equinox. The day vibrated on a 4, a day of setting new foundations. The moon was waxing in the 8th house of Scorpio, and it was a 4-year, ideal for setting new foundations. Pandemic. A pandemic, as many people called it. Oya and Babalu Aye released something in the air that put the globe on lockdown. I called it the plague that created a worldwide masquerade. And as much was being revealed under the masquerade, this masquerade was creating a lot of new ancestors. Speaking of masquerades, such a word had a whole other meaning in terms of the traditions. So this is the caravan that I was the most concealed. By now, I was free from my first elay. My work there was done, and I'll leave it at that. I still prepared my offerings and left before dawn with my big brother and writing mentor Marcel. There were whispers that I wasn't coming to this year's caravan. But of course the ancestors in Oya had other plans. We reached the water right at dawn, laid a blanket on the beach, made our offerings, did our prayers, and it sure felt good to relax after this few months of turbulence, travel, adjustments. I'd prepared some beautiful melons and cakes filled with prayers for Adimu and plenty to feed the birds. The rising was overcast in the early part of the morning, then the sun came out later. Interestingly, the time it was very cloudy was when Oya kept me alone. And of course, I stopped by her house real quick to leave her a gift before coming to the beach. This year it felt good to spend time alone with my brother, the birds, and the winds of the ancestors. The three of them spoke to me for hours and it all made sense to me. My energy was in a deep shift this year on an ancestral molecular level, and I needed the solitude. We must have been on somewhere else in Seawall because we heard the drums from a distance. We kept checking our watches thinking the caravan was late, but we were a ways down the beach from where the Mbuff caravan was actually being held. Divinely, I still felt we were there on time, because the time we spent alone with the birds and the winds were necessary for what Spirit needed us for. We came to greet the others as the ceremony was ending, and although the Mbuff hosted part of the ceremony was over, a second mini-ceremony begun. Many of us who lingered on the beach afterwards formed a circle and sang songs to the Egungun, or the collective spirit of the ancestors, snapped more photos, made more connections, and then headed out because Marcel had another engagement. For me, other connections were made. When I returned home, I changed clothes and headed over to the Mbuff house for a gathering. There was a marketplace and a second celebration of the ancestors. I went to assist, to perform, to be a part of that ceremony. It was much needed because twice as many ancestors this year needed veneration. Ashe.